The Fake Crisis Narcissist. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Narcissists, not all, but many, use the fake crisis. Sometimes this might be a threat of the commission of suicide. You receive a text message or a telephone call whereby the narcissist tells you that they've taken some pills, or that they're going to kill themselves, that they're on their way out. This necessitates immediate action from you. A panic-stricken drive to this person's house, hammering on the door. They won't answer. Do you kick it in? You've called the police. You've called for an ambulance. You might have ended the relationship, but you still care about this person. You still care about them as a human being, irrespective of the fact of the relationship and what went on within it. This has brought you to the door of the narcissist. It's brought you under control. You've responded. You've given plenty of fuel by your reaction. And often you find that no pills have been taken, no rope has been purchased, no gun has been positioned, and it was simply an empty threat that has been utilized. In other instances, the narcissist creates an emergency. You've got to come quick, something's happened to one of the children. This is commonly done in the instance of separated parents, divorced parents, whereby there is shared custody. That the narcissist will triangulate the victim with the children in order to compel, control, and draw fuel by suggesting that something's gone wrong, that one of the children is injured or hurt or is unwell. In some instances, it will be used by a narcissist to compel the victim to come home from a night out. The kitchen's flooded. The cat's coughed up a hairball and has turned a strange colour. I don't know how to switch the television on. In some instances, the crisis isn't one at all. In other instances, there is a suggestion of a crisis, but it's one that could easily be managed without the victim. In other instances, there is no crisis and it's just been made up. I need your help. I don't know what to do with this situation. I'm in financial difficulties. Can you help me out? I need to purchase a new battery for my car. If I don't have it, I won't be able to go to work and I haven't got any money. Can you help me out? There's lots of different ways that the narcissist will utilize the fake crisis for the purposes of the pursuit of the prime aims. It's sometimes done as a preventative hoover, concocting a fake crisis to prevent the victim from leaving, from ending the relationship. In some instances, it's used as a follow-up hoover to try and draw the victim back in following the end of the formal relationship. In other instances, it might form part of the initial grand hoover, where the victim has escaped and the narcissist is hoovering hard, trying to bring them back in. But the fake crisis is often seen and can be utilized by any school of narcissist. Commonly utilized by lesser narcissists because generally with lower, lesser and middle lesser, they tend to be a bit useless and therefore may well actually have a genuine problem that they turn to you as the victim for help with. Upper lesser will utilize it also, although it's less likely that it's actually genuine. They're more capable of dealing with such situations and therefore create a scenario which is fake in order to compel your return. Mid-rangers commonly do this, being more passive-aggressive and cowardly with feigned helplessness, that they will invariably utilize a minor incident, blowing it out of all proportion, or just completely concocting one in order to ensure that you comply and are brought back under control. And this is often done as a pity play. With a greater narcissist, you're less likely to see this, but if it does happen, it isn't a pity play. It's simply, there's a problem, you've got expertise, I need your assistance. So with a greater, it may actually be done more in a flattering way, as if to say, I've got a problem in my business that only you can solve. I need you to come and solve it for me, I'll pay you well. It's not a pity play, but there is no crisis. The greater has decided to concoct that and offer an inducement of payment to get you to respond to them by responding to the message or perhaps even turning up as a consequence of the message that has been sent to you. Thus, all schools of narcissists can utilize the pretense of some kind of crisis, either a genuine one but it's blown out of all proportion, a genuine one which they could handle themselves but they claim that you're needed, or, more often, that there's no crisis whatsoever. This is naturally done in pursuit of the prime aims. It's done to control you. It's done to draw fuel from you. It's done to get a residual benefit from you, commonly, for instance, money. And so many victims of narcissists fall prey to the fake crisis because it appeals to their empathic nature. Some normals would assist, but many would not. They're too busy. They've got problems going on in their own lives. It's not something I can handle. That's not something that I would be good at. But the empath jumps upon their white charger and gallops to the rescue, particularly those that exhibit the saviour trait as part of their cadre. The desire to fix and heal, the empathic trait of compassion and caring, all of those become corrupted by emotional thinking to cause the individual to want to help, even where they know that they're dealing with a narcissist, where the narcissist pleads for assistance, where you receive that telephone message, a voicemail message from the narcissist claiming that they've taken some pills and are on their way out, or a sobbing message of, I need help, I haven't got any money, and the bailiffs are battering down the door. That really does tug at the emotional empathy of a victim, and they find it incredibly hard to resist. Of course, the key to dealing with this is to ensure that no message can get through to you in the first place. Therefore, you wouldn't have to put up with the fake crisis manifesting. The narcissist can't ring you to plead with you, can't leave a heartfelt voice message, can't send you a guilt-inducing text. None of those things can happen because you've got a total no-contact regime, and therefore you don't have to put your willpower to the test because you simply don't know about it. You've not been informed about this supposed crisis, and that's why your no-contact regime is so important. If you don't have it, so that the narcissist can ring you up, can text message you, can email you, even come knocking on your door knowing that you'll open it, then it's much harder for you to resist because immediately you're interacting with the narcissist and you're entering an arena of interaction, which then results in your emotional thinking soaring, corrupting those traits of compassion, of caring, of desire to fix and to heal, making it so much more difficult for you to resist, that you would feel guilty if you didn't heed this call for assistance. And this results in the victim getting drawn back in, thus increasing their emotional thinking, possibly even re-entering the relationship again, possibly providing time, assistance, and money to the narcissist, which actually then is to their detriment. And in another case study, the fake crisis narcissist looms as a con man. You might recall my excellent series about the Tinder swindler, that one of the things he did was utilize the financial problem of his enemies causing financial difficulties for him so that bank accounts were shut down, so that he would then go to women asking them to lend him money pending the resolution of these issues. He presented with a crisis. He initially had treated them well, he'd love-bombed them, he'd shown them the high life, demonstrating that he was a man of means. Of course, he was using money from previous victims to do this. And then he suddenly presented with this problem in relation to not having money. This was the crisis. To some extent, it was genuine, because he would be running out of money if victims were no longer providing it to him. But it wasn't genuine in the sense that he really needed the money, because it was being frittered away on luxuries. And he used this idea of a crisis, a fake crisis, to draw in other victims, to get money out of them. And they invariably complied as a consequence of their empathic status and their heightened emotional thinking. And we have another example. So if you haven't already watched my series about the Tinder swindler, I'd encourage you to do so. We've got another example that comes courtesy of BBC News and a report from Oprah Flash, great name, romance fraudster conned women out of £300,000. A romance fraudster who lived a lavish lifestyle, residual benefit, using more than £300,000, which he conned from women, has been jailed. Posing as a successful businessman, facade, Kieran McNamara preyed on 4 wealthy women from across the United Kingdom and tricked them into believing they were in a loving relationship, police said. Deceit. He would then fake a crisis to manipulate his victims into sending him large sums of money, Chester Crown Court heard. Thus, he's utilising that manipulation of the fake crisis to control them, to draw fuel from them, and to get the residual benefit of money. The 37-year-old from Coventry was sentenced on Tuesday to 7 years in prison after pleading guilty to 4 charges of fraud by false representation. McNamara is a serial fraudster, and I truly believe that he cannot tell the difference between reality and fantasy, said Detective Constable Victoria Hazelwood of Cheshire Constabulary, demonstrating that this is likely a narcissist who is unable to distinguish between what he believes the world is and what it actually is. He convinced his victims that he was a millionaire, delusion, with properties across the country. But in reality, he was unemployed and living out of a suitcase. McNamara, who was also known as Kieran Griffin, Christian McNamara and Miles McNamara, use of aliases demonstrating not only deceit, delusion, but a lack of a fixed self. He met the women through a variety of methods, including online, hunting ground, and in exclusive hotels and clubs, hunting grounds. He swindled them into believing he had a high-value property portfolio, triangulation by object, by showing them pictures of himself at mansions in London and Cheshire. He also shared images of him travelling first class across the world, triangulation through object, and would also flood the women with gifts, bribery, weekends away, bribery, and take them out for expensive meals, police said. However, unbeknownst to the victims, he was using money he had scammed from other women to fund his lifestyle, just like the Tinder swindler. In total, between the 1st of September 2022 and 25th of September 2023, McNamara manipulated 4 women in Cheshire, Warwickshire and Hertfordshire to hand over £302,054.26. His ruse was rumbled when his victim in Cheshire realised what he was doing and reported her concerns to police. He was arrested in Colchester on the 28th of September following an investigation by detectives from the Cheshire Constabulary Economic Crime Unit. He was subsequently charged with 4 counts of fraud by false representation. A raid of a storage unit rented by McNamara uncovered about £19,500 worth of new goods, including a £1,900 Burberry coat, a £400 Burberry scarf, Gucci trainers and a ping golf set. Inquiries to locate other assets belonging to him are ongoing, and the items recovered will be subjected to a proceeds of crime hearing. At the sentencing, Judge Simon Berkson said McNamara's offending history was a significant aggravating factor, with many similar offences in the past, which shows a sustained type of behaviour supporting that this is likely a narcissist. He also said McNamara was a real risk into the future, as he had very little sympathy for his victims. Again, a lack of remorse, a lack of conscience, demonstrating an absence of emotional empathy. So another real-life example of a narcissist who's scamming people through a romance fraud, but utilising one of the manipulations, which is useful to describe to you using a real-life example, of the fake crisis. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.